Hi, and welcome to Geekology. I'm David.
I'm Sven.
And tonight... Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, pretty yes. Okay, so... Issue 3 and Issue 4, which I love the fact that they put it on the sticker, on the cellophane, because the edge of the book has 16 on it and they're going... People in the supermarkets might get confused. And I have to actually give them their due for that one because I can see people getting confused with that. So immediately, for sheer ease of use, yes.
Fair enough.
Is there no little magazines with these ones? I mean, these are obviously the ones that are sent out to your home, but due to the fact they've got the sticker on, I have a sneaking suspicion.
This is how they're hitting the shops. This is because there's nothing else to go with them.
Right. Well, yeah, because putting a magazine there is kind of pointless.
Yeah, completely pointless. Completely okay. It's inside the hardback. So, yes, this came very recently. I've now sorted out the issue with the payment because they were sending them out and billing me.
Blood wasn't good enough for them, actually.
They were sending them out and billing me in the parcels, but then you have to pay them before they'll send out the next one. Even though I've tried giving them my credit card details previously.
Literally, please take my money, take my money.
So they can just bill me and send it out when they're ready. But they've basically they've had some problems with their website and it's been sorted out now. So basically, yeah, it's all done now.
There was a thing. They sorted the thing.
It's still
a thing.
Yeah. Means it's the second shipment. I got the wallet, which is part of the subscription deal, which is rather nice and was better than I thought it was going to be. To be fair.
Yeah.
So
looks good quality.
Decent quality, yes, absolutely. Even got a zippy bit.
Print's nice. Stitching's a little bit me.
Yeah, but you're picky as hell when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yes, I am. Okay. I'll give him that. That is a valid point. The lining, so I'll tell you what is nice and you don't see very often, is that it has a zip compartment on the inside just there.
Yeah.
For your change. Now that is not something you see in many wallets. So from a wallet point of view, very good. Nice soft, smells good. That's not leather, that's... Okay, very nice.
Yeah, I mean they're using the versions of the logo from 87 onwards, but that's fine.
I would know that.
The 87 onwards versions of the logos, but because the 84 to 86 version would have been darker and a slightly different colour variant.
Darker? What? It's got a gritty history.
Yeah.
He saw his mother and father die.
Okay. And I also received separately the replacements for my key rings that were buggered up in my first shipment. So they're quite decent. They're freebies, it'll do.
Still a little bit. Yeah, they're freebies. They'll do.
This extra one I'm not so bothered about, to be fair. Well, I bought one. I want that right. So, yeah.
Okay.
Quite decent. But yes, moving on to the actual books themselves. Issue 3 in the subscription is free.
Okay.
So you on the second shipment you only pay $9.99 for the pair, which isn't too bad.
Yeah.
And then it's from the next shipment they're going to be $9.99. In this particular book, there's the reprints of the black and white stories as they were originally from issue 198 and 213 to 222 of the British comic, and direct reprints of the stories from the US issues 56 to 61. Now, if I'm remembering remotely correctly, the black and white British strips were the backup strips for these American stories.
Right.
So, as these American stories would be running in the British comic, in the last few pages of the comic would be the backup story to go with it. Because sometimes the backup story was other things like an Action Force or something like that, but this was during a period, I think, if I remember rightly, where that wasn't the case. But it's going back a while.
Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, David, why aren't you quizzing him about the fact that they were black and white and therefore should be reprinted in black and white to stay true to the real thing? We've just had a half an hour debate. We just had a half hour chat regarding those exact same thing. To which the answer was, it was a budget cut. Yeah. They couldn't print it in colour for the comics. They recoloured them the correct way. Well, how it should have been seen in this. Yeah. I was happy with that answer. And then I did a joke about Santa Prime.
which was a few issues prior to this when he wore the Santa outfit.
So there you go. I've just saved you guys 20 minutes.
But yes, Cold Comfort and Joy. This was black and white originally, and it's been coloured in tone with as it would have been at the time.
I quite like, and I love the fact that's carrying on the Christmas theme.
Yes,
I quite like that.
Oh yeah, completely. When they did the Christmas issues, they did them properly.
Yeah.
It was quite cool.
Of course, it was British.
Yes. So this moves on to the fall and rise of the Decepticon Empire, which was quite a fun little story actually. This was colour originally. It was a British primary story.
Right.
You see what I mean? And that's...
It's got what I always refer to as the Joker version of Megatron.
Oh yeah!
It's
basically it's Megatron that looks like...
yeah.
The
Jack Nicholson version.
Yeah. There's actually a version of Galvatron that looks even more... like that.
Cool.
Same artist, shockingly. But here we have the Decepticon Triumvirate.
Yeah, there's something you want to point out to me about that, Sven.
Yeah, you see that? Can you see the globes?
Yep.
Can you see the oval?
Yep.
What's it telling you?
Same thing it told me last time that I refused to do.
It's a Dalek.
Yes, it is.
And you can tell it's Lee Sullivan who was drawing this. Let me just double check that.
To be
Is
fair.
it Lee Sullivan? Oh look, yes it is! There we go. Lee Sullivan was doing the Doctor Who comic as well at the time when it was under Marvel. So, yeah. Death's Head from the British Transformers comic ended up in the Doctor Who comic as well, you see. So, yeah, there's links. It's scary.
I like when these come out. It's like watching you on crack.
And there's Megatron, yes. The only thing that's missing is oh no, there he is. Ravage. Wherever Megatron goes, Ravage should be there because Ravage took on the job of being his bodyguard, which is always hilarious.
That makes no sense.
It does when you realise Ravage was originally the bodyguard for the Overlord, who was the last of the Autobot rulers.
I wish I couldn't say
this. May have been called Sentinel Prime.
I wish I couldn't say this following sentence, but I know who Ravage is, and I know who Ravage was because we've had this discussion.
What about Night Stalker?
I just think it really weird that any of them have
Night Stalker, Stripes, Steeljaw.
Tell me about the zombie.
Zombie Starscream. Hi, I'm Starscream after I've tried to absorb the underbase and I feel a bit sick.
The underbase?
Underbase. It was a massive database from Cybertron. And he basically tried to absorb the entire energy of it in one go. And all the information and everything. And he fried him, basically.
But brought him back to life?
Well, left him a
vegetable?
Shuffling vegetable, yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. Dreadwing and Darkwing have come.
So how smart are these robots that they don't know that they cannot handle that much data?
Oh, he thought it would turn into a god. Kind of did. And then it blew him up.
Okay.
It's like the old story, isn't it? It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, we've got the most powerful thing in the universe. Let's open it up. Melty
faces.
But yeah. So this has all been coloured for the first time. It's not really recoloured. It's coloured, and again looks very much in the way it would have been at the time. Completely in keeping, and looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I'm really very pleased to see these in colour. So
it's very much a product of the 80s.
Yeah, definitely Andrew Wildman artwork there. But there we go. Yes. So trigger bots.
It's really lovely seeing those colours again, though. Isn't it?
They look great.
It's, you know what it is. It's seeing them is really great, but seeing them on white paper is really strange.
It's weird. It's a bit weird. But what's interesting is the fact that this is clearly British comic colouring, whereas when these characters turned up in the American comic, they never looked this good.
It's funny actually, the red and the blues made me think of the American comics, but obviously the colours weren't quite the same.
No, quite.
But it really makes me think of them. And I don't know why, but seeing the Transformers logo in those colours, in that style, really reminds me of G.I. Joe. Don't ask me why. It just really does.
Interesting. Survivors, which is basically the last remnants of what was the Wreckers after the Time Wars.
Right.
I think I'm remembering this correctly. Meeting up with a couple of other people who've come out of limbo and stuff. This is Skids. Apparently he's had his face ripped off at some point and replaced with a fake face because it's not his face.
Okay.
And we have these horrible creatures that followed him from limbo, which is like a non-dimension kind of thing when people have come back in time and they need to mass displace something. wibbly wobbly. So yeah, survivors where Carnivac and Catilla from the Decepticon Mayhem Squad have joined up with these last remnants of the Wreckers and wandering around in America. Yet it was a British story. Inferno never looked so colourful. This is really nice, really well done. But we'll skip forward a bit to the reprints of the American comics.
Now, did you have any of the American comics at the time?
No. I got a few issues afterwards and then realised I preferred them as they were in the British comic anyway, so there's no point duplicating it particularly at the time. There we've got Optimus Prime with his red eyes, which is correct for that version of Optimus.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
English and the American comics, would the Americans be interested in this version of Transformers?
A lot of this British stuff, a lot of it has been made available through reprints through IDW.
Okay.
But it's usually been squeezed down into American comic format. Yeah, okay. Quite. So, don't do that. Here we have Ratchet having nightmares over the fact he can't repair everybody. Micromasters are starting to turn up, which is cool. And this basically leads into a story where Ratchet gets kidnapped by Megatron, which isn't the first time it's been him and Megatron against each other. And basically he's messing around with the Pretender process to try and recreate Starscream as a almost mindless drone for him to use from the zombie parts that were left of him, and trying to bring him back. Because Starscream's actually, though he's ridiculed in the cartoon series quite a lot, in the comics he was much more powerful, nasty piece of work. I think there's a British story a little bit further on from here when he has come back, and he thinks everybody's laughing at him, and they're actually all basically trying to stay out of his way so they don't get wasted, and these are Decepticons. So it's like, yeah. So there's a lot of fear towards him in this version of Transformers. Now, what Ratchet does is he's very good at double-crossing Megatron, because it's at least the second time he's done it. So he's got these 4 prototypes. Now, this story continues on and basically results in Ratchet basically sacrificing himself to try and stop Megatron, which has some rather nasty consequences later on. Much later on, it's actually they're both presumed dead by the end of the story, but it's they're not. But you'll see what happens. But this is actually quite fun. It basically brings back the classic Pretenders as they were sold in Starscream, Grimlock, Jazz, and Bumblebee. And Bumblebee's actually been returned to being Bumblebee from being Goldbug, which he was at the time.
And them squeezing in the fact that it's Japanese Transformers.
Well, yeah, Bludgeon. He's was a smaller version of Pretender.
Samurai sounding name.
No,
Bludgeon.
He's a master of Metallicato, I think it's pronounced. It's basically a martial art on Cybertron.
I really want to say that in a really bad Japanese accent.
Don't
want to offend
Don't
people.
do that. And then we've got Prime getting quite upset over the fact Ratchet's died. Why? Can't. No. But the thing is with Prime is that they really should have explained it a bit more in the comics, but there was a passing memory to the fact that Prime started off as Ratchet's protege. He was supposed to be a doctor before the war in the comic continuity. So,
damn it! I'm a robot doctor, not a doctor of robots.
So yes, we've got Thunderwing turns up as another Pretender, and then they go and find the centre of Cybertron, which has got Prime's face in it, like you do. And unfortunately, they make the mistake of allowing him to be woken up by a blast, which means
from the past.
Which means that Unicron knows where Cybertron is because of this psychic link between them, and because he was set to sleep, Unicron couldn't track him, and now suddenly he turns.
Well, that is what happens if you don't mask your IP address over the Ethernet.
Exactly, which is probably the most accurate description of it ever. It's probably a wireless connection across the universe, and there's some of the British covers.
Cool.
Which are always cool. So yes, that's quite.
So you're a happy Benny.
I mean, the stories in there are great.
Go for it.
Anyway, on to issue 4, which is actually volume 18, just to continue the confusion. And this is the US issues 67 to 75. So getting right to the end of almost to the end of the American comic. So the last phase there. So
hang on 2 seconds before you get into that. So this one here is American comic Geekology.
No, it's British comic.
British comic, right. Yeah. Where would the American be?
It's the second half. So the American story starts. There is a massive difference in style.
That's why. I just want to put my finger in so when you flick through yours I can go, ha.
Yeah.
Because there is a big difference between the style of the British one and the American one to start with. Yeah. But I want to see the advance, because if that's towards the end of the series.
Now the interesting thing is that as we're getting towards the end of the American comic, it's actually been produced by 2 Brits. Because it's been written by Simon Furman and drawn by Andrew Altman.
Okay.
This might be the giveaway to what's happening at the end of that story.
Okay. Why does the British version of the comic look so much more advanced than the American version of the comic for the same time frame?
It's a very good question. It wasn't because they were being paid more. It wasn't because they had more time, as far as we're aware. It's just, it's one of those... The
British is what me and you would call proper style. It's what we had.
And the American stuff isn't as good.
No.
Which is really bizarre, considering the US stuff was being done by Marvel US.
Yeah.
But it looks like they were basically pumping it out and not thinking about it. Which is interesting. And the colouring especially is very, very different. But moving on to Edge of Extinction, we really are getting into the last phase of what was the American comic. Here we have Grimlock's on the cover. At least his eyes are the right colour, his visor's the right colour, but what's going on with this sword? It should be red. Anyway, in the blue stripe at the bottom you've got some of the artwork from the comic inside.
And for any of you that's interested, that little voice he did with the was what I had in my head when I was watching the Bay version of Transformers, desperately trying to get it. People that were with me, that were Transformers fans, when he wasn't, because they had to see it with me, because I'm a geek, and I'm sat there going, that's the wrong colour. Why is it like that? And I'm thinking, 2 people that don't know that are now wondering why I know it's the wrong colour, and Sven's not my right.
Why? I have this effect on people. I apologise. No, I'm not going to apologise. Tough, deal with it.
See, this is my equivalent of care in the community. I do this so you don't have to.
I'm in the community and he has to care.
Yeah.
Right, story so far. So we go back over what's happened up until this point, which is always nice. I should have called it Worry About Wars. Never mind. Well, that's a bit of a giveaway.
Yeah. You know what? I kind of can tell what's going on for this episode.
Yeah. So here comes Galvatron, and oh, it's that. Oh dear. Remember when this was drawn?
Okay, hang on. To be fair, the entire city looks like crap, not just the 2 towers.
Yeah, it gets worse. Look what's happened.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, they've broken off at a particular place, and then they've strung up some between.
Yeah, but they did that with Spider-Man, and they had to edit and refilm that entire sequence.
Yes,
so.
yeah, they did, and drop an entire trailer. But where's the bit? I mean, this is basically.
And that's not bad taste. I had a friend who died in the towers. I think people treat it in a weird way.
Yeah. So this is actually set in a possible future where the Decepticons have basically taken Earth. They won the war, etc., etc., etc. Rodimus Prime. Bearing in mind, Rodimus Prime is the embodiment of and similar style of design to Primus.
Mm-hmm.
So he could be interpreted as being the son of the Transformers god, has been strung up between the 2 towers which have been broken down and angled off, and it looks a bit dodgy. But then you realise when this was drawn, it's like, okay. So basically you have a storyline here where the Decepticons are infesting Earth. The American government are going to throw nuclear weapons at them, and Galvatron's waiting for them to do it.
Laugh his arse off. It's not going to affect them.
Well, it's not going to It wouldn't
the
affect them if it
might,
wasn't
the
for
radiation won't.
Yeah, but they're basically set up a siphon to actually take all the energy from the explosions and turn them into energon cubes, all equivalent.
Oh, nice.
So it's
I'll save them a lot of hassle.
Yeah, it's like, thanks for powering us up.
The only episode of Transformers I really liked was that one with the dam where there were all the glowy cubes, because that just made no sense.
Yeah, quite. I'm glad in most of the British and American comic stuff they use fuel instead of energon cubes.
No, I have no problem with energon cubes. I have no issue with energon cubes, other than the fact that they are cubes of energy. If they were batteries, or if it was a container round the energy, fine. But the idea that it's just this glowy thing is ridiculous.
And Hook, Line and Sinker turn up, who are Unicron's heralds to come and steal off with Galvatron and turn him into Unicron's puppet once more.
And here we see a massive shift in style.
Well, no, because this is all...
No, I'm just saying, we just see a massive shift in style from
that stuff, yeah. You've got a superhero team under GB Blackrock, who's not at all Tony Stark on his guff. Going to try and deal with the Transformers, and they end up getting transported to Cybertron, which is not the best place for them, especially when one of them has a psychological hatred of big robots, and she ends up on the planet of the big robot. Not good.
No good.
Not good. So basically we have a storyline here where the Autobots are not doing awfully well against Scorponok's Decepticons at the time. Megatron's not about, and you've basically got all this stuff going on with Unicron basically taking back control of Galvatron and so on and so forth, and they all end up basically on Cybertron dealing with a bunch of Transformers who've had their minds enslaved by Unicron.
You know, when we put this episode out, we are going to put spoilers straight across. Yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, and then we have Emerald Zaron, who's basically been taken over by Primus. And yeah, there's basically a massive battle, and they deal with Unicron coming to Cybertron, essentially.
So, important story,
Important storyline. You actually have Emerald Zaron get destroyed and all this kind of stuff. Basically, Prime has to surrender to the Decepticons to actually get to talk to Scorponok properly to get him on side so that they can deal with the situation when it occurs, because they're expecting it to happen. So yeah. Scorponok actually dies in this. And he kind of becomes a bit of a hero, considering he's a Decepticon leader, but he becomes a bit of a hero, and next thing we know he's a melty mess on the floor. Because Unicron basically bakes him.
Okay.
There we go.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And the British comic cover from this story was absolutely fantastic. I'm hoping it's actually in the back of this, because it's...
No, they did with all the others.
Yeah, it's a lovely painting actually that they used for the front cover. So yeah, Chaos Bringer, so on and so forth. Aha. Right, so we have the British versions of the comic covers there.
The G.I. Joe colour scheme. See, I knew there was a reason that
G.I. Joe was back.
Yeah, but when I was saying that this was really reminding me, that's why it was really reminding me.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go.
Cool.
So the British version there, schizoid. Yeah, that's the really
nice
painting one. So, and that one was quite cool as well.
Cool.
But yeah, August 1991. Wow, that's a long time ago. So are these worth $9.99 each? Yeah, they are. Frankly, for hardback volumes, and it's not a small number of pages that are in these. I mean, they're different thicknesses each time.
Well, that makes sense.
But interestingly, issue 3 is slightly thinner than issue 4, which is possibly why it's not the free one. Which would make sense. But, you know, for a tenner each, or if you're subscribed and you get issue 3 for free, what's not to like? Absolutely great. And some very, very good stories in there. But again, I've got the slight problem is that I'm looking through at these possibly through some serious nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because these are the stories that started the whole thing off for me.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah, but most Transformers fans are going to be looking at it with serious nostalgia of one type or another.
Actually, there's quite a lot of newer Transformers fans who came on board with things like Armada, who are picking this stuff up, and they're suddenly going,
"Oh, that makes sense now."
Well, no. They're picking this stuff up and they're going, "My God, these are vicious in comparison with the cartoon series." Like, yeah.
Yeah, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were vicious up until so
this is, I mean, you know, what they do to some of the characters in these stories are pretty visceral in comparison with anything they get away with in the cartoon series. I mean, even Transformers the movie, which was very visceral compared with the cartoon series, pales compared to what they do in these stories. So yeah, and it kind of makes sense that the fans and the people who worked on these and the fans of this stories, and now the people working at IDW doing really nasty stuff to characters. Cool. But there we go.
Right, well, that's it for us. We'd love to read your comments. Feel free to leave them in the section below. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can follow us on both Facebook and Twitter, and of course there is the official Geekology website. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Bye.
Hi and welcome.
Hi.
Hello. Just thought I had my mobile phone in my hand, desperately looking at anything other than Transformers might not work.
Help me.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's the wrong franchise.
Depends on how you look at Transformers the movie, really, doesn't it? Look at
well, I normally look at it like this.
Look at RC's helmet.
Listen, you want to look at Transformers helmets? That's up to you. I've heard about nightclubs for people like you. 3, 2... Yes,
that's usually where you're busy yourself.
Oh, Random.
And I also received separately the replacements for my key rings that were buggered up in my first shipment.
Still not fantastic on the paint just there, but...
Well, they did the job. At least it's not all over the front of the Autobot symbol this time. Swamped over it. It was a complete facial. The worst part is it looked like oil.
Oh, things that'll never make it to air.
RC was actually, you know... I got my replacement key rings, which is nice after, you know, the complete facial the Autobot symbol had. I got my replacement key rings after I had a fault with the Autobot symbol on.
Should we have another cut of that where I'm not banging my head across the table going, oh God, please make it stop?
We'll try.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Right.
remember, 20-minute episodes, friendly, happy chats. Not, oh my god, have you seen this? They've recoloured this page, it's so fucking awesome, blah, 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 blah. Yeah?
Yeah, we'll try.
Okay.